Yo, Cover One crew, welcome back to the show. I am doing great. Hope you guys are as well. We are just continuing this grind because I got to get you guys to understand who these players are, and if you like them or not, you can debate that all you want after my synopsis on these players. Today we're talking Antonio Brown. He's Antonio Brown light to me. Zay Flowers, he is just so good, so talented, and I get it. This NFL draft with this wide receiver class can be, criticized, which it has already, with some national media saying that there are no first-grade talents, I should say, in this draft outside of a Jackson Smith and a Jigba. And I find that to be very surprising because if you're looking for playmaking talent, there is a boatload of it. But I get it. It's because the size is what they don't covet. If these guys were a few inches taller, then we'd be talking a different story. But what do you say we talk a little Zay Flowers, Boston College, Antonio Brown light? Immediately, I understand everyone's going to scoff at the fact that I'm saying this man is Antonio Brown light, 2.0, lesser Antonio Brown. I get it, okay? I'm trying to just paint the picture of what I do believe this man could potentially be. Is he going to be like Antonio Brown? Probably not. There is only one AB, and he showcased his talent. But even AB was a late-round draft pick, and, he showed out. So there wasn't a lot of praise for AB back then. So I think you got to understand where I'm going with this. But let's dive into those measurables. He stands 5'9", 182. He put on a little bit of muscle mass before the NFL Combine. He was in the 170 range, 175 range. He is 22 years of age. He played in 48 contests, 200 receptions, 3,056 yards, a nice 15.3 on the average, and 29 receiving touchdowns, which is very good. Surprisingly enough, he basically didn't have any quarterback play to speak of at BC. So I'm telling y'all, when you talk about a Zay Flowers, he definitely, uplifted his game these past 2 years to show that he is a true baller and playmaker in the making. But what do you say we talk about some pros? And I'm going to say right off the bat, we'll talk about the Antonio Brown thing. It's the mannerisms. It's how he runs, how he plays. I think I got one of my second last points on the list here. His mannerisms are just like AB. Never thought I'd see that again, but it's very similar to what Antonio Brown looked like on the field. Yes, AB was a little bit taller, a little bit more weight, but you got to understand when you look at a guy like Zay Flowers, how he runs, how he shakes and jukes, it's Antonio Brown-esque. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get off this hill because he does look that way. Will he ever end up being what Antonio Brown was? Probably not, because he might be limited to the slot, but he is a true playmaker, explosive, quick. The burst is just silly in Zay Jones. He's able to get after it, whether he's outside, whether he's in the slot. He can definitely do that. I think, he's probably going to be home in the slot in the NFL, but he has played outside, and he's able to showcase what he's able to do. He does have that second gear in open field, so you hit the ball in this man's hands. He's going to make some plays with his speed. I did expect him to run a little bit faster at the 40, but with his weight, with his speed, with his height, I think his speed is very much good enough, extremely quick and fast. He's going to make people miss. He can cut on a dime without any speed loss. That is extremely positive for a wide receiver, especially a guy in the slot who's going to be going up after, slower linebackers, maybe some safeties that are slow on the slower end. Zay Flowers is going to be that guy. So I'm telling y'all, every time you watch his film, you put it on, and you just see the kind of plays that he's able to make. He could have made even more if it wasn't for the horrific quarterback play that he did see. How many times you see that ball cruising over his head, going over the sidelines, and then Zay's not able to make a play. But every time he is there, man, he can cut on a dime without any speed loss. Body balance is elite. He is a fluid runner. One of my best traits for any ball carrier or wide receiver. You got to have that fluidity to your game for me to give you the check boxes. And Zay double checks those, no kidding. He just has an extreme fluid running ability, running style. He's able to make people miss. And even if he doesn't make a juke or shake, he just can turn on the accelerators, and he's going around defensive ends and defensive backs, and he's off to the races. His hands are very good. They're not necessarily in the great to elite category. I'll touch that in the cons as well, but they are very good. And I think that people are underselling the fact of how good his hands truly are. I don't think it's a big knock on him. He's not a body catcher. He is a hand catcher. He did see some drops. So like I said, I will touch that in the cons. But the ball adjustment tracking ability is very good for a man his size. And if you see how many times, in the double coverage, he does body adjust and finds his way to corral the ball in and still make plays. He's never out of the realm. For a shorter guy to never be out on a ball in the air is extremely impressive. And then once he gets a ball in his hand, he can make a play after it. The ball adjustments are so good. It's almost in the elite category for me that I can sit here and say, yes, it is a check. The ball adjustments are so sound in Zay Flowers. He's going to make people take notice instantly once he's on the field and making these plays. Open field, electric shifty, juke and shake, all of the above. It's what you want out of him. He's almost an electrician out there. I'm going to call him it because he does extremely well in this department. The athletic movements, the agile movements, so good, so creative in the open field. He's never given up on the play. If he's got room, he's going to try to extend the play, and he's going to succeed at that. And that's what you want from a guy this size especially. Will he take punishment? Again, we'll touch that in the cons, but the stop-start double move, definite plus grades for me. His route tree is good enough, and I think that, when you see what he can do, he can round it out with some better coaching. Hopefully he gets on a roster that has a dynamic wide receiver that's good and efficient in the route tree to help him out in this cause that much more, because if he refines his route tree and his release off the line, I think he is going to be a stellar mismatch that can play in the NFL 10-plus years without question. Zay Flowers could be this good. There's some nuances in his game that he's going to have to fix, but I do believe that the double move and the route tree is very solid in this man. Definite plus grades for me. Again, yak yard machine. You're talking about playmakers. You get the ball in his hand. He's going to make people miss, and he's going to do it with regularity and frequency. He does this also extremely well. And I like him a lot, man. He carried a horrible Boston College team. I mean, let's not sugarcoat that. What were they, 3-10 this past year? Just a subpar team. So the bodes the question, why not transfer out, go with another quarterback? So this actually is a big positive for me when you evaluate talent like this. He was able to dominate and put up the numbers that he did with subpar quarterback play. It's exact same argument I used when Jahan Dotson was coming out of college with Penn State, because he had basically horrific quarterback play as well. I think BC had worse QB play, but Jahan Dotson is a dog, and we see it in the NFL. Quarterback-proof player. Can we say that Zay Jones is quarterback-proof? I think I can stand on this hill and die here as well and say, yes, I think that Zay Flowers is a quarterback-proof wide receiver. But for some cons, this is the mantra with a lot of these players in this NFL draft class: undersized. 5'9", 182. I mean, you can't say anything else. He's just not a big, large human being. He's not Quentin Johnston when it comes to height, okay, and weight. He's just an undersized player. But now how the NFL has morphed and changed, it is a passing league. They scheme up ways to get the smaller guys the ball in their hands, and they're able to make things happen with the ball after the catch. So undersized may not necessarily be a big problem anymore, but we shall see. This draft will tell a large tale of how the NFL does move in the next coming years, man. He can be bullied off the line versus the press. And again, because of the size, you understand. So you're going to have to scheme him up properly where he does see free releases. That's why we're saying the slot is likely home for him. I mean, did he play? Can he play outside at BC? Did he play outside at BC? We shall see if he can do that in the NFL. I mean, he doesn't always create a quality separation also, but he's so good in the ball tracking department that even if he is locked up with some defensive backs, he's still going to be able to challenge and make a play for it. Is he going to outleap anybody? Probably not. Especially, 6'2" defensive backs, it's going to be a big struggle for him. He's going to get bullied on the line with the press as well. He has drops, but poor throws as well. You got to, give one. It's apples to apples, not apples to oranges. You got to give both where it is and understand the con. He does have some drops. They're saying, the hands are smaller, obviously, 40th percentile for the hand measurements, but the quarterback play was so bad. The wide receiver can only do so much and make things, out of nothing, where everyone's talking guys like Anthony Richardson. His wide receivers dropped all his passes, but were those ball placement throws there? Man, wait till that scouting report. But I'm telling y'all, when it comes to a guy like Zay Flowers, quarterback play was so bad that he had to go over and beyond to make plays happen. So I'm taking it with a little bit of grain of salt with the dropping problem that some people suggest that he does have, and you're going to have to deal with that in the pros, but we'll see how that goes. Route technician refinement or technique refinement, it could be had. It's like I said, if he gets on a roster with somebody who is proficient in the route tree, it will only benefit Zay Flowers that much more, and I think he's going to soak up every ounce of that because he is a dog, he is a playmaker, and I mean, field awareness can use some coaching also in those zones. We want to see, extremely elite football IQ, and I think he does have it. It's just you got to see some more, a little touch of refinement in some of these categories, and it's only going to make his game that much better in the NFL. But for grading purposes, I'm a huge fan of Zay Flowers. I think he could be a potential lesser Antonio Brown. 78.1%, very good grade score for Zay Flowers. Obviously, you get some knocks because of technique issues. And okay, stature aside, I mean, you got to drop him down just a little bit. But I think he is put together in a sense that he will be able to compete probably in year one. I really do believe that, depending on where he lands, which roster he is on. If we say, okay, for example, I talk about my Buffalo Bills, you put a Zay Flowers in the Bills and you put him in the slot with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, he's going to have instant productivity, you would want to assume, because he got wheels. He's got electric playmaking ability, and this is what he's going to bring to the field. It's likely halfway through the season we could see a Zay Flowers start to turn heads. But I think if he makes quite a few big splash plays, we could be talking the name of Zay Flowers quite a bit in 2023. So there it is. That is Zay Flowers, Antonio Brown, Light 2.0. I'm probably going to get smacked for that because a lot of people don't want to make that comparison with Antonio Brown. But I'm being a little facetious, but I do like his game a lot. It's more the mannerisms, the how he plays the game of football that reminds me of an Antonio Brown. And we'll see if it does pan out. It's a long shot in a lot of senses that he's going to be a true number one wide receiver for any offense in the NFL, but he's going to have a definite secondary role where he's going to be trusted upon to make plays, get the ball in his hand, and he's going to make house calls, man. That's going to be his MO in the NFL. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. What do you think of Zay Flowers? Where you got him ranked in this wide receiver class that is very much up for interpretation for a lot of people? Throw them in the comments. We can talk it out, but we'll see you next time. I am out.